Welcome to another episode of the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast, the show where we like to empower coaches, consultants to use podcasting as a way to grow their business, whether as a guest or as a host. Today, I'm here with Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert and someone who really walks the talk when it comes to influence, impact, and thought leadership. I mean, he has a ton of credentials. He's 2 times TEDx speaker, international best-selling author of over 60 books, #1 thought leader in ecosystems, top 100 overall by Thinkers 360, executive coach with Marshall Goldsmith's 100 coaches. This guy really has built 20 plus businesses in Silicon Valley, published over 750 books through 4 publishing companies. Mitchell, your resume is absolutely phenomenal. And today we are going to be talking about LinkedIn, how to get more referrals and business without being slimy, I suppose. So welcome to the show, Mitchell.
Did you have a hard time with that one?
I didn't want to say it. It had hard to come out, but let's face it, right? Let's face it. Some people, let's be honest, it all can be a little bit slimy on LinkedIn at times. So don't be that way.
Well, if you've seen the one of the Ghostbuster movies where that green ghost slimes
Yes.
that person, like we've all been slimed at least once on LinkedIn, and it feels like the hair in the back of your neck is, oh God, I gotta avoid this person. Wait, you don't want to do that to other people.
No, absolutely. So for you, let's hear a little bit about your backstory then, other than all the phenomenal things that you've already achieved. But now, what was the inspiration behind you helping business leaders to get more referrals and more business using LinkedIn?
It's interesting. So between 2019 to 2020, I interviewed 500 thought leaders on the concept of credibility. And what really came out of that is not just credibility, but from a clarity perspective, how could any company or human articulate in less than 10 words where they are executing on their purpose? And in 2021, I was asked to join the 100 coaches, Marshall Goldsmith's 100 coaches. So I started fine tuning all my executive coaches and practices. And what was interesting is it was recently, just about 6 months ago, I had a marketing friend of mine slap me in the face. Not physically, not physically. So virtually. He goes to me, Mitchell, I know all the living legends of marketing today, and I don't know anyone who has more clarity than you do. Your ability to deliver clarity is far most superior. He says, remind me how many people don't have it. And I said 98%. When I did my research, 98% of this audience do not have clarity, less than 10 words, who you serve and their pleasure point or pain point. And he goes, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to like. Now, first of all, he builds me really high with what he said. And so I couldn't possibly imagine what he's going to say next. I have to tell you, if you've ever seen a balloon and have a pin stuck in a balloon and have the balloon deflate, that's exactly what happened. He goes, okay, this is just from a marketing perspective. He goes, from a marketing perspective, Mitchell, you are world class at clarity for an audience that 98% doesn't have. They don't have it either because they think they have it and they don't, or they don't think they need it. Either way, boom, right? He goes, after I'm sitting there, let me stew in it for a couple seconds. And he goes, all right, listen, I'll get you out of it. First thing he did is said, look me in the eyes. Tell me what you could do for me this minute that will put money in my pocket tomorrow. My first thought was executive presence. And that is what I've turned into my executive coaching practice. And I've now called it executive abundance. But then I woke up the following morning and I had an aha. Now I've started, as you mentioned, I started 20-ish companies. I've been in Silicon Valley as a thought leader. And I've never actually, I've known what I'm going to say, but I've never actually paid attention to it till about 6 months ago. I want to share this thought because if you're in today's world where thought leadership is ubiquitous because of GPT and other AI tools, this is important to know. It's so simple. Sell them what they want,
Yeah.
deliver what they need. Like,
It's so simple, but people aren't using it. Oh,
oh my
brilliant.
goodness. So I started thinking about, so since 2019, I've been selling credibility and then selling clarity. And what I have to tell you, after spending 5 years doing that, that is what people need, not what they want. When
Mm.
they say they want credibility or they want clarity, there's typically a warped perception of what those two things are. So
Mhm.
what I realized is for the executive coaching, who's my audience? Inc. 5,000 CEOs. And what do they really want? They want to lead the future with executive abundance. And I've defined what executive abundance is, and that's my executive coaching practice. It was about six
Mm.
months ago that I realized I need to do this with what people really want today. And what they want is they want to use LinkedIn effectively. So I ended up buying a
Mhm.
LinkedIn agency. And what gives me credibility to be able to focus on this is I've been on LinkedIn since before LinkedIn was making money. I was in the room with two of the five founders, Reid Hoffman, Konstantin Gerlich, and they paid me to write and publish LinkedIn first book. I've looked at a couple 100,000 LinkedIn profiles. LinkedIn is really easy, but we get confused. And so, what I do is I support and help those people we work with first get clarity, then turn their LinkedIn profile into something credible so they can do two things: nurture their first level connections and get second and third level connections to become first level connections. And by
Mm.
doing that in a very structured approach, you end up cultivating good referral partners and good prospects that turn into clients.
Brilliant. So, who doesn't want, why are they on LinkedIn in the first place? LinkedIn, I see it as, I mean, it's like a dating site, really, for businesses. Come on, it's business to business, right? It's very different to Facebook. It's very different to Facebook.
I love what you just said. It's a dating site for business.
Well,
I
I
think
mean,
that's what it is.
there to do, is it not? It's there to put potential businesses in front of it, the right fit for them. And I suppose people show up on LinkedIn, they're more prepared, they're looking for business help or referrals, like you say, more business. And they don't get offended if you are going to reach out, but they do get offended when you reach out and you're slimy about it.
Right.
So, what is your process? What's the big secret? What's your process of helping these business leaders get referrals and more business from LinkedIn? You must have a process to help
Oh,
them.
absolutely. But I love you as an interviewer. So, what if you had me, the dating site for LinkedIn, and somebody who helps other people with dating? And we just, it's all three of us are talking about how do you more effectively. And,
Yeah, there you go. There you
uh,
go. I mean, it's all about matching the right people. That's right,
and
isn't it?
actually, speaking of that, that's exactly one of the things that is easy. If you reach out to me, I'm going to send you a 4-page PDF, which is focused on effective LinkedIn social selling. And it's what is involved. And so, if I'm going to summarize, I'm going to say LinkedIn has so much functionality in it. So, what we help you focus on is the 5% of functionality that brings 80% of value. So, what does that
Mm.
mean? We've articulated 7 habits of effective LinkedIn social selling. Many people are taught that any one of those habits, which really are things that need to happen, but you don't need to spend a lot of time on. Many people say, for instance, you've heard the thing, hey, let's create a post and have it go viral. Well, here's the
Mhm.
interesting part. I know many people with over 1 million followers, and they're going to tell you one thing. They've never done or created a post that has directly brought in a client, right?
I can
Why
believe that.
spend a whole lot of time, money, energy creating a quote unquote viral video? I mean, if you're in
Mhm.
that space, okay, but if you're in the business world, that may not be the space you're in. I'm going to talk
Mhm.
about habit 7. And this is one that I really encourage people to focus on. And that is do everything you can to A, have a good, credible LinkedIn profile, B, nurture your first level connections and then get second levels to become first levels. And what you're really doing is spending a half hour a day in LinkedIn Messenger. Because if you can do that, and what I'll tell you personally, I have somewhere between 8 to 14 meetings every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's where I'm just meeting new people. On the Monday, Fridays is when I do the client work. And those meetings all come from LinkedIn Messenger. They either come from a direct message where I say something like, "Hey, it's been a while since we've talked. I'd love to get time on the calendar. If you need a subject line, call it good old fashioned networking." I'd say about 30% of my meetings come from that. 70% of
Mm.
my meetings come from what I call celebrating life events, right? So if you're on any social media platform, right, and you put your birthday there, I get like 400 messages for my birthday. I'm
Mhm.
also somebody who will personally respond to each one of them. I know, takes time, right? Here's what's interesting. If you're wishing somebody a happy birthday and they say something fascinating, like, so fascinating and easy is, "Oh, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. How are you doing?" That's the easiest one because that's an opportunity to respond. But you then look at their LinkedIn profile and you go, wait, this is somebody I'd like to talk to. What you need to do in LinkedIn Messenger is turn that into a Zoom call. It's about as simple as that is have a bunch of tools and processes and procedures that will get more people to have the types of conversations in LinkedIn Messenger so you could then turn those conversations into this. So you could essentially, although we're recording and we're live, it's very similar to what Karen, you and I are doing right
Mm.
now. It's
Mhm.
social selling. Sales is the opportunity for you to have a conversation with somebody who is going to be better off after using your product or service. And if you have a conversation with somebody who's going to be better off after using your product or service, you're not selling them, you're just telling them how much better off they'll be. And so,
Mhm.
what's fascinating is when one of the tricks that I always use for me is I always think to myself when I first meet somebody, they're a potential referral partner, right? Because I'll never actually start with thinking that they're going to buy my stuff. At some point in time, they're going to, Mitchell, this stuff you think I could share with my network and other people, I think I need it for myself. Like, oh, okay, right? And what's important when you're on the Zoom call, this is outside of LinkedIn, but what's important when you're on a Zoom call is to be credible. And how do you be credible? Well, there are 10 values of credibility, but one of the most important things is just to be you, the real you, not the fake you, the you that really is vulnerable, the you that is caring, the you that has the intent and commitment to do the right thing, the you that wants to add value to somebody else first. And if you could show that you're a servant leader for the person you're talking with, and you've created a container of trust in that conversation, then the next logical things happen. And that
Yeah.
is there's an opportunity for potentially some exchange of energy. Either they share you, like you're doing for me at the moment, nice potential referral partner relationship, or they go, Mitchell, I need this. How do I buy?
I love that. That is so in alignment with, to the listeners, I'm always saying this. This is one of the reasons why I love podcasting, right? Because it allows you to, yeah, we're creating content right now. But the other side that I think so many people miss is in the building the relationships side of it. And the fact that, yes, referrals, don't think you've got to try and sell on everything. I love that approach. And I've never really thought of doing that in LinkedIn. What is it about LinkedIn? I mean, I've seen it, some posts when they're complaining about somebody doing any kind of outreach. So, do you think a lot of people are almost afraid to do any kind of reach out? And why do you think that is? What do you think stops people from creating these relationships?
It's a really good question, and it's hard to answer all the different types of fear, but it's typically fear, uncertainty, doubt, right?
Mm,
Am I worthy? Are people going to be uncomfortable with what I say? Am I going to get the right amount of viewers as my peers? I'm going to say none of that matters. I mean, it
yeah.
does. There's an ego thing, maybe, but at the end of the day, I want to bring in an interesting concept. The concept I want to think about is the word enough. We're taught that enough is never enough. We're taught that if you're, let's say you're running some sort of speaking, coaching, consulting business, and you have 60% capacity utilized. I mean, 60% of the time you're working. That's about almost full time, right? That's about as much
Hmm.
as you could possibly do because you should be spending at least the maybe 20% having fun and the other 20% working on tomorrow. The
Hmm.
biggest issue is
Hmm.
people don't actually do that, right?
Hmm.
And when you're working on tomorrow, what are you doing? You're building relationships. And you're you're not building relationships because you want to then hire a bunch of more people and go from 60 to 160. Like the enough is enough. If you've carved a good business for yourself, then you're happy. The the as a book publisher, I'll give you the same thing. It's the same sort of concept as a podcast, right? The interesting part is the actually. Do you mind? I'm going to share something in my background. I have a 4-step process for I call it the clarity roadmap for success. The first step is articulating. I call it your clarity statement. I call it your CPOP, your customer point of possibilities. That's a formula. I've done this over 1,000 times. It is very, very simple to be able to articulate. I could take any company or any human and help them articulate who they are in less than 10 words. Now, once you've done that, step number 2 is make sure you show up consistently that way. And I have to tell you, the coolest thing in the world is when I talk to somebody who's a DIY type person, they know exactly what to do once they're given the tool sets, and they get their CPOP and they go, "Oh my God, Mitchell, I need to change my website, my LinkedIn, my social, everything needs to change." So I go, "Uh-huh." And they go, "Okay, I know what to do." And I'm like, "Great." And I will gift that away because that's a
Right.
potential really good referral partner. Now, the
Yes.
reason I wanted to share this, Karen, was step number 3. Step number 3 is it's I call it a client magnet or a micro commitment. That is what you do with a podcast, right? If you're that's what you're doing with me right now is I get to see you. I get to
Hmm.
see you, and if I wanted a podcast and I wanted to do marketing this way, I would love to put myself in your hands. Now I actually have more than one podcast, so I've done this many times. So I'm a referral partner, not a client
Fine.
prospect. But what's interesting is you get to see me. And
Hmm.
podcasting is a phenomenal way to get to see people. It's a micro commitment. If you're putting out a LinkedIn post and your primary goal is to get one person to be able to get excited about it or they comment on it, and if they comment on it and it seems like somebody you should talk to, well, then take it into LinkedIn Messenger and turn that into a Zoom call. The goal is to create a micro commitment so that they can see you and you can see them. And by the way, the first decision you have to make is, do I want them as a client? Is it somebody I'm going to have fun working with? Do I want to serve this person or this company? And ultimately, what we do in the LinkedIn world, and I'm sure this is what you teach your podcasters as well, the clients you work with, is step number 4 is become a community superhero. So, what does that mean? That means your clients remember you and refer you. That means that you have referral partners that refer you. That means that you are, I call it C-popping. You're effectively allowing people and reminding people who you are. So when you run across somebody, in your case, if you run across somebody, or if I run across somebody who really needs to use a podcast effectively to drive business, I should be thinking about you. In your case,
Mhm.
you run across somebody who is in business and they just don't get this LinkedIn thing, you might want to talk to Mitchell Levy, right? And that's what I mean by step number 4, being a community superhero.
Love that. I mean, it is. It's like the old, I suppose, networking scenario when you go in face to face and you're bringing it into LinkedIn, but you're doing it. I think so many people hold back from using the DM. They're so afraid to appear slimy, if you like, that they retract and they don't do anything. You can post all you want. And I would totally agree with what you're saying. Everybody's going for I call it the ego metrics. I don't care. A lot of my posts don't really get that many likes or comments. Do you know what? I still promote. I do a call to action every single day. Why? Because as we all know, LinkedIn aren't going to show my post to everybody that's on my LinkedIn in my network. So I figure that over the month they might see one then there's a reel or there's that. Oh, she does that. It's almost like people think just because they're your LinkedIn friend that they instantly know what you do. No, they don't. No, they don't. People are just they step away from actually doing any reach out. And we've been taught, I think, for so long, or people have spoken about attraction marketing. And they
Yeah,
misunderstand attraction marketing. They think, I've just got to keep posting and eventually somebody's going to come to me and say, can
yeah,
I buy your
no.
stuff?
Well, no, it doesn't work that way anymore because
Exactly.
2023 made thought leadership ubiquitous. Once AI went on the scene, anyone who wants to be a thought leader, all they have to do is know the right prompts. Habit number 6, by the way, is the one you're referring to. And that is, I believe that the best habit on posting, now you use it for different reasons. So, is to post at least once a week, right? You don't have to post more than that, right? So this is different than what you're doing because you're
Hmm.
doing CTAs and call outs for the
Yes.
shows that you're doing.
Hmm.
Once a week will allow you to, if somebody's looking at your LinkedIn profile, show that you're staying on top of it, that you're writing at least one article. And by the way, LinkedIn has a newsletter feature, potentially taking out and being a newsletter, because then what happens is it will inform those people who are newsletter subscribers every time you have a new issue, and doing it consistently, same day, essentially same time every week. But the truth is, you don't have to do more than that, because the real way people are going to see you, if
Hmm.
you are in the space of attracting the people who are referral partners and prospects, your goal is to get them into a Zoom call. If potentially your client magnet might be a complimentary webinar once a month or once a quarter, your goal might be to get them there, whatever the client magnet tool is, so people get to see you, feel you, experience you, and either recommend you or decide that it makes sense to play with you.
Mm, love it. Absolutely love it. I'm with you on all of that. So, listeners, if they're like, oh my goodness, I have been using LinkedIn so wrong, I need to sort it out because I want referrals and more business. What should the listeners do next?
I'm going to say potentially not wrong, but it can be improved.
Yeah.
So, listen, the best thing in terms of reaching out to me is at my website. It's mitchelllevy.com, mitchellevy.com. There you can see all the things that I'm doing. If you want to book time on my calendar, you get access to it. If specifically you want to see the tool and want to go directly there, you can get there from mitchellevy.com, or it's called Social Complement. Because the truth is, LinkedIn is just a social complement to you. And you want to be able to use it
Mm.
as it is a complement to you. So that's where that name came from. So at socialcomplement.com, you could see exactly what we do with that LinkedIn service.
Fantastic. And Mitchell's details will all be in the show notes too. So if you're driving, listening to this, don't worry, you can resort back to the show notes to get everything. And Mitchell, you don't just a guest on podcast, you are a host, is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
So would you like to share with the listeners where they can find your podcast, what your podcast is called?
So it's called Mitchell Levy Presents. One of my favorite places to direct people is to Substack. So it's mitchelllevy.substack.com. And the reason I like Substack, and then it goes to other platforms as well, is because it incorporates both a newsletter and a podcast.
Right.
It's a nice vehicle. I like the approach, and there's so much that they do from a technology perspective for you.
Fantastic. Mitchell, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for being here. And guys, you know, everything that Mitchell says is going to help grow your business. So get in touch. And to the listeners, I'll be back next week with the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for listening to today's episode on the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. If you're